We have information about the fire that happened last night at San Juan Village. Find out more in our first story.
Cold temps across New Mexico. Find out on my first weather forecast.
KENW women's and men's basketball take home the win last week, and we have the results for the Super Bowl. This and more sports right now.
News 3 New Mexico, your local source for news, sports, and first weather.
Good evening and welcome to News 3 New Mexico. I'm Corbin Chainer.
And I'm Marcos Baltieres. Thank you so much for watching.
Yesterday was absolute mayhem in Portales. The video you see is from last night. A resident of the San Juan apartment started a grease fire while cooking. Then they tried to extinguish the fire by throwing water on it, letting it flare out more. They then took it outside where emergency services took care of it. Simultaneously, there was a power outage. Overall, it affected 3,000 residents yesterday evening. However, there are still 1,000 without power today at noon. They hope to fix all power outages today.
A sex offender in New Mexico sent to prison this week. Timothy Harper, age 54, from Clovis, New Mexico, pled guilty to possession of child porn and bestiality. On August 17, 2024, an organization called the Colorado Ped Patrol notified the Clovis PD about Harper in reference to a sexual offense. It later came out that the Colorado Ped Patrol that Harper initiated Facebook contact with was a fake account posing as a 13-year-old girl named Molly. Within a 2-week span, Harper attempted to establish a relationship and in-person meeting. The conversation between Harper and Molly was of sexual nature, with Harper sharing explicit photos, including photos of him engaging in sexual activities with his dogs. When officers spoke to Harper, he admitted to talking to Molly, claiming she was a 14-year-old female. He also admitted to having sexual intercourse with at least one of his dogs and having numerous photos of child porn on his phone. On February 10, 2025, the Honorable Benjamin Cross sentenced Harper to 11 and a half years in the Department of Corrections, followed by 1 year of parole for his actions. He will also have to register as a sex offender, and following his sentence, Harper is not allowed to own, possess, reside, or exercise control over any animal for 15 years, the maximum period provided under New Mexico state law. A new bill proposed could improvise efforts to locate missing Native Americans within New Mexico. Senate Bill 41, called the Turquoise Alert Bill, would improve links between the federal government, tribal government, and public, and add new Turquoise Alert amendments to the Missing Persons Information and Reporting Act, all with the goal of making search efforts faster and making the best of those crucial first 48 hours. The bill is currently with the Senate Indian, Rural, and Cultural Affairs Committee for review.
The New Mexico Department of Health is encouraging residents of Lee County to be careful after 2 measles cases were found in neighboring Gaines County, Texas. Since the initial notice was issued on February 3rd, 24 cases of measles, mostly in school-aged children, have been confirmed. And yesterday, the first confirmed case of measles in Lee County was reported by New Mexico Health. They are currently contacting anyone who had been exposed. The 2 known exposures were at Lee County Emergency Department at 1600 Main Street, Lovington, on February 9th from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and 6th Grade Academy Gymnasium at 310 North 5th Street, Lovington, on February 6th between 5:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Anyone concerned about potential exposure should confirm their shot records and get vaccinated if necessary. You know, I loved that warm weather we had last week.
I know, but it's got cold again.
I wonder how cold it'll be tonight. Jaden, can we get a quick look?
Yes, we are getting some cold temps and also some fog in the area. But first, let's take a look at our allergy report. Right now, our grass level is low, our pollen is medium, and our weeds is also low. As we take a look at our wind speeds today, between the central part of New Mexico and the western side, it's between 30 and 40 miles per hour. And then more on the eastern plains, we are looking at 10 to 20 miles per hour, and then it dies down into the evening. As we take a look at tonight's lows, we're looking at 13 in Farmington, 25 in Albuquerque, 25 in Rio Doso and Roswell, 28 in Carlsbad, and then in Hobbs, we're looking at 19, Clovis is at 10, and Portales 16. I have more for you on my full weather forecast. Back to y'all at the desk.
Another bill, Senate Bill 33, or the Wildfire Prepared Act, received a unanimous pass vote in its first committee after a revised version of the bill was developed. This bill was introduced in response to the disastrous wildfire across New Mexico last year. and could expand vital protections for New Mexicans by developing wildfire-prepared standards, providing grants and property hardening, and facilitating wildfire preparedness, education efforts throughout the state. Last Friday, 100-year-old World War II and Korean War veteran Burton Platero was recognized at the state capitol during the New Mexican American Indian Day celebration. Mr. Platero was given an award for his service to the United States by New Mexico Department of Veterans Service Cabinet Secretary Jameson Herrera and honored by the tribal leaders and the New Mexico House of Representatives. What a great way to recognize his service.
The Portales High School Drama Department will be hosting new productions this weekend. On February 15th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., the PHS Drama Department will host 2 different plays. The first play is titled The Absolutely Insidious and Utterly Terrifying Truth About Cat Hair by Bradley Walton. It's a 30-minute comedy about how no matter how much hair you brush off a cat, there will always be more. The second is entitled How to Survive Acting in a Bad Play Without Being Traumatized for Life, also by Bradley Walton. General admission is $7 at the door, and once again, this is Saturday, February 15th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., respectively, in the Performing Arts Center. Coming up after the break, Jaden will have his full weather forecast.
But first, here's a look at today's financial market.
Welcome back. I'm Jaden Phillips. Let's take a look at today's weather. On the eastern side of the country, we are seeing some snow in Washington and around St. Louis. Then there's rain down in Atlanta that crosses down to Houston. And if we take a look on the western side of the country, we're seeing some rain on the coast of San Francisco all the way down to Los Angeles. And then as we take a look here in New Mexico, we are seeing a little bit of snow-rain mix between Albuquerque, just south of Albuquerque. And then as we take a look on to the eastern plains, we do have some storms going eastwards from Carlsbad, and then in Roswell, also moving eastwards. And then our future satellite radar, we're showing some rain that's going to be moving out. And then come Friday, we are going to have some storms that range across part of New Mexico, mostly into the northern part of the state. And then here on the eastern plains, we are looking at clear skies and quite a bit of fog too. Our current wind speeds are looking at 23 in Santa Fe, 20 in Santa Rosa, 16 in Tucumcari, 17 in Portales, and then 21 in Silver City. As we look at our current temperatures, we have 38 in Farmington, 40 in Gallup, 48 in Albuquerque, 43 in Santa Fe, and we look into the northern part of the state, we're looking at 18 at Raton, 13 in Clayton, and then Socorro is at 51, as is TRC, 47 in Silver City. Down south in Las Cruces, we're looking at 53, Alamogordo 55, 39 in Rio Doso, and as we take a look into the eastern side of the state and the panhandle of Texas, we're looking at 13 in Clayton, 19 in Tucumcari, 18 in Clovis, 19 here in Portales, and then Hobbs is at 45, Carlsbad 59, and then Amarillo is at 18. Lubbock is at 24. Tonight's lows, we are looking at 39 in Farmington, 34 in Gallup, 42 in Albuquerque. Up north, we are looking at 27 in Raton, 30 in Gallup, and then 30 in Santa Rosa. Socorro, we are looking at 41. Silver City is 38 tonight, 37 in Rio Doso, 30 in Roswell. Carlsbad is looking at 28, so is Hobbs. Here in Portales, we are looking at 29. And then Clovis is at 25, and Amarillo is also at 25. Lubbock is at 28. Tomorrow's highs, across the state, we're looking around 50s to the 40s, even down in the 60s in Cruces, and then 47 here in Portales, 40 in Amarillo. Roswell at 48, Santa Rosa at 52. As we take a look at our 7-day forecast, we're looking at Roswell 48 as a high on Thursday. Friday's looking at 71 with the low of 42. Sunday and Saturday are looking 60s with lows of 20s, lower 20s. Monday at 69. And then in Carlsbad, we are looking at partly cloudy skies throughout the whole week, really. 44 tomorrow as a high, and then to the weekend, we're looking at 50s and 60s. And then next week, we go back up to the 70s before a dip down back into the 50s. Tucumcari, we're looking about the same. Some wind on Friday, and then cold temps throughout the week. As we look at Portales, we are looking at 47, and then throughout the weekend, 60s through the 50s, and then we dip back down to the 50s towards next week.
Well, we're gonna have to bundle up for another cold week next week, guys.
Oh, definitely,
Yes,
we're gonna.
for sure. We thought spring was here, but it ain't yet, guys.
Yeah, sadly.
We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. It's Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week. In the U.S., the CDC says a baby with a heart defect is born every 15 minutes.
While these defects range in severity, early detection is critical. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains why and goes over the factors that increase the risk of congenital heart defect developing.
It's a problem present at birth, affecting the structure of a baby's heart. Congenital heart defects range substantially from mild to severe.
And so really kind of seeing someone that has the expertise and the ability to differentiate between the two is important.
Dr. Glenn Iannucci with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says initial symptoms may only be an extra sound or murmur found during a cardiac physical exam, or there may be an abnormality found on an x-ray. Some heart defects can also be found during pregnancy through a special type of ultrasound called a fetal echocardiogram.
But other signs can be kind of trouble feeding, persistent fast breathing, and poor weight gain in babies in particular.
The exact cause of most heart defects isn't fully known, but there are things that increase risk, including the mother having certain pre-existing conditions like diabetes or obesity, a family history of congenital heart defects, smoking during pregnancy, or certain medications taken during pregnancy.
If you know kind of what you're dealing with at the beginning, then really you can often be in front of the patient even developing symptoms.
Even though many heart defects aren't cured, advancements in care and treatments have led to longer and healthier lives than those who have them.
There are a wide variety of treatments that can include surgery, but can also include some non-invasive approaches.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Congenital heart defects may not be found until later in childhood or into adulthood, but the doctors say some signs that someone may have an underlying heart problem include chest pains with activity and fainting spells, especially during exertion.
The Clovis Police Department encouraged people to be cautious while driving in a social media post this morning due to the freezing temperatures and heavy fog. As conditions continue to be foggy into the evening, it's important to carry on with these precautions. The City of Clovis Streets Department has checked intersections and dropped sand on icy areas, but you can still take safety into your own hands by driving carefully and making sure that your vehicle is visible by turning on your low beam headlights.
Have you ever wanted to be an Olympian? Well, if you're 50 and over, you'll have the chance to be something else. Curry County is hosting a fun 50-plus senior Olympic event. The activities planned include games like eight-ball pool and cornhole, as well as athletic activities like tennis, track and field, and frisbee golf. You can register at 4 separate events at the Clovis Senior Center on March 10th, the La Casa Senior Center on March 12th, the McDaniels Building on March 20th, and the Clovis Senior Center on March 14th. We hope to see you competing and maybe take home a win.
You're never too old to learn. That's something James Evans, a 71-year-old college student, lives by, as he returns to complete his bachelor's degree at Rutgers. Anthony Johnson reports.
I forget the actual ethnic group.
Meet James Evans, who looks like an esteemed professor, but he's really a student with a wealth of personal experience to share in the classroom. At age 71, he decided to pursue a degree in Africana Studies at the Rutgers Newark campus.
I didn't want to just sit around in a rocking chair. Often we talk about...
Evans always enjoyed reading, but in his early days, he was more of an activist than studious. Our former colleague became an inspiration.
Gil Noble had a major influence in my life to show like it is.
And that's why he is majoring in Africana Studies.
Trust and believe that whatever time I've got, I'm going to make sure that this history is not wiped out or sanitized.
Evans is a very active participant in class,
Her observation of life,
which focuses on literature from Black authors.
After the course continued, he started to kind of share more of himself and his personal experiences. And it's been invaluable.
You know, it was written, I think, in '85.
Evans has experienced downsizing at several jobs and resumed his pursuit of education in the early 90s and kept chipping away at a degree. But there were challenges.
Technology-wise, I had to kind of maneuver my way through that.
Now a junior, Evans doesn't mind sitting in a classroom of faces 50 years younger. He has learned a lot from listening to them.
If you're going back to school as a senior citizen, then you need to come with an open mind.
Well, speaking of college, coming up after the break, Lorenzo will have his full sports report for you,
including information about ENMU's basketball teams and their games last weekend. So stay tuned.
Our anchors were not ready.
Welcome back, sports fans, to News 3 New Mexico. I'm Lorenzo Solis, and let's jump right into today's report. Kicking off today's report, the Super Bowl happened on Sunday, and man, did the Eagles steal the show. From start to finish, the Philadelphia Eagles swept the Kansas City Chiefs in a whirlwind of a game, so much so that the Chiefs had not scored until the very end of the third quarter. And while the Chiefs managed to squeeze in some points during the fourth quarter of the game, the Eagles kept a major lead, ending the night with a final score of 40-22. While both teams played valiantly, it was Philadelphia that stole not only the spotlight, but the Super Bowl 59 trophy. Bouncing off to the next report, the NMU men's basketball team played UT Permian Basin on Saturday, and it was a close game overall, with both teams keeping a neck-and-neck score for the entire game, with Greyhounds taking the win with only 3 points in the final quarter. With a final nail-biting score of 83-80, we are getting closer to the championships. Every triumph counts towards the road to victory for our Hounds, and tomorrow, the Hounds are expected to play against Western New Mexico tomorrow at 7 p.m., and I will have the result of this week's game next week. Before the men's basketball team took the field, we saw strong play from the women's basketball team in their West Division game against UT Permian Basin. 9 separate Greyhounds on the team scored over 6 points this game, with Nadia Lockett taking the Lone Star Conference Offensive Player of the Week honor with 16 points scored in the game overall. Caitlin Edmondson on Ishua Hunter also made big gains from the team, scoring 9 and 10 points respectively. This game put an end to a 3-game losing streak against UT Permian Basin, with the Greyhounds winning 71 points to Falcons 66 overall. Tomorrow, they'll go on the road to play against Western New Mexico at 5:30. Next on the report, we have the ENMU esports team. The Overwatch team won against West Texas A&M by forfeit, and similarly, the Valorant team won their match up against Western Nebraska Community College by forfeit as well. The next matchup to look forward to being the North Overwatch team going against Western Nebraska later tonight at 7:30. That's all the sports I have for you today, but don't change that channel. We'll be right back at the desk with Corbin and Marcos, so stay tuned.
Welcome back. With time running low, scientists are turning to some very powerful tech to track a comet that could crash into Earth.
Patrick Cornell has the details in today's Take a Look at This.
The James Webb Telescope, famous for snapping some of the prettiest pics across the galaxy, is taking on a new space case, helping protect the Earth from a potential asteroid strike. It's something the world's space agencies are taking very seriously. For context, NASA is monitoring asteroid 2024 YR4, which according to science experts has a 2.3% chance of hitting our planet on December 22nd, 2032. YR4 is estimated to be 130 to 300 feet across, roughly the same size as a meteor that exploded over Russia in 2013, injuring about 1,000 people and damaging 3,000 buildings. It's enough of a concern for astronomers to take humanity's best above the atmosphere tool, the James Webb Telescope, in an effort to study this rogue rock. Webb has the ability to capture infrared light emitted by the asteroid, which can help give us clues to its true size and orbit, providing more evidence as to whether the comet could collide with Earth. They'll have to work quickly. YR4 will disappear from Earth's view in a few short months, traveling around the sun before reappearing in 2028. Speaking of disappearing, a painting vanished for a century only to be discovered hiding behind a work of art. This mystery woman appearing beneath this Pablo Picasso painting. Historians with the Courtauld Institute of Art believe Picasso simply painted over the woman in 1901 when composing a portrait of a friend. Experts uncovered the concealed figure while prepping the painting for an exhibition, using infrared and X-ray imaging to give us a peek at the woman's silhouette. We may never know the identity of that, quote, anonymous model, as she resembles several women Picasso painted. For Take a Look at This, I'm Patrick Cornell.
Well, that was a really cool take a look at this, wasn't it?
It really was.
Well, that's the stories we have for tonight.
And we hope you have a great night and see you next week.